Hello, Internet, and welcome to the Collective Arcana. We are a channel all about tabletop gaming, and today I have some bad news for you. Nobody cares about your character. Look, hey, I get it. Your character's awesome. They're very cool. They've got a really interesting build, 5 pages of backstory, and more attitude than the average 80s action movie protagonist. But here's the thing. Nobody cares. Okay, hopefully you care about your character, but you're probably in the minority on that one. And that's okay. All right, it's not your fault or your character's fault. It's just that most people are so caught up in their character or maybe the, overarching plot points or, whether they left a coffee pot on or whatever, that they're more concerned with their own bubble than yours. So today we're sort of going to talk about how to get past that and get everyone to care about your character, maybe you a little bit too, but mostly your character. And we're going to see how that can influence the game at large. Okay, so we're going to come at it from sort of a selfish place, but we're going to end up in a very positive for everybody sort of situation. And most of this stuff is true whether you're at a table or passing people on the sidewalk. Okay, this is something that, you can apply it in your everyday life as well as your tabletop games. It's a similar concept all over, and it's just that people tend to be in their own bubble. And the way that you can forge connections in real life by talking to them, it can also be done in game and should be done in game. If you're not doing it, you and your whole party are missing out on a whole lot. And let's pause for just a moment and give credit where credit is due. Okay, there are those rare, beautiful, magical unicorn people who, by default, are invested in other people and their characters at the table and also just in real life. And you people are wonderful, and I hope that you never stub your toe or get a paper cut or anything like that again. But those people are rare. So you people, you unicorns, don't go changing. Stay just the way you are. Everybody else, though, let's learn something from those magical unicorn people. So, non-unicorns, how do we get everyone else to care about our characters? Well, the simple fact is, to get people to care about you, you have to show them that you care about them. And this isn't just a sociopath how-to guide, hopefully you really are, you really do want to be invested in your fellow players' characters, and you're not just doing it so that they'll pay attention to you. I can't control that, though, so if you're going to be a monster of a person, I guess keep doing that, keep being the opposite of the unicorn person, but hopefully you're coming at this from a good place. But on that note, we do have to acknowledge that there are some tables, some games, some groups that play like cutthroat mercenaries who don't care at all about each other and are just looking out for themselves and trying to get a job done for, whatever edgy reasons that there may be. And that's cool. That's totally fine. We're not talking to those people. If that's what you're doing, what you're enjoying, then, don't change anything if everybody's having fun. But if that's not what you're going for, and that's what you find that you're getting, this is for you. Luckily, it's just 3 little steps to bridge this gap, all right? First step is your backstory. Look, big backstory is great. Some GMs like a lot of backstories, some like minimal, but everybody hopefully is going to come into their character with some idea of who they are, where they've been, what they're doing. Most games nowadays, D&D5e, Pathfinder 2nd edition, are going to ask you for a background and stuff like that. Things to sort of get you thinking, but hopefully you go even a little bit beyond just what the character sheet requires. But you want to leave holes. You don't want to have an airtight, several pages of backstory, leaving nothing to chance. One good piece of advice is always write your backstory from the perspective of your character and assuming that you don't know anything that your character doesn't know. If somebody killed your character's parents, it's a trope, but that's fine. It's a trope for a reason. But if somebody killed your character's parents, hopefully you don't know who did it necessarily, unless your character also knows who did it. Don't say, it was totally his evil, scheming uncle, or it was totally her, the neighbor who wanted to expand his farm and whatever. Don't do that. Leave your GM room to work. Again, just know what your character knows, and don't assume anything else. And assume that your character could be wrong as well. Don't assume that just because you wrote in your backstory that your character thinks it was this person, that it's going to be that person. Don't assume that anything your character knows is necessarily going to pan out. If they're now session 0, that kind of thing, you want to tell your GM, hey, I don't want, this or that. I have these ideas. I want to stick to this. Don't, pull the rug out from under me on these concepts. Totally normal, totally good. Definitely do that. But leave that room for the GM to come in and surprise you with your own backstory elements, okay? That's the best way to make sure that, A, the GM works your character's backstory in. The more room they have to work, the more room they have to fit jigsaw puzzle pieces together, the better chance they will. And when they do that, that means that the other people at the table are going to get introduced to your backstory potentially in a way that already matters to them. If they're after, the same nobleman who they already know is a bad guy, and then it turns out that same nobleman is the one who, sent your character's father to prison, and now she's, vowed to get revenge. Now all of a sudden everybody is like, well, we didn't like this person for this reason, and now our friend, tells us that she also hates this this nobleman person. So now we double hate him. So now everyone is both more invested in the story and more invested in your character's personal arc. Versus if you were just saying, this person that you don't know did a bad thing to my family maybe, and I want to go and get them. That's a lot less than, guys, I think this is the man who sent my father to prison for 40 years, whatever it may be. That's got a lot more grab for the people around you than just, some self-contained edgelord story. And along those same lines, your GM may be able to tie your backstory and somebody else's together. If both you and the person beside you at the table have allowed room for a mysterious, person who has caused the ruination of your character or their family or, whatever it may be, and then the GM pulls back the curtain and reveals it was the same bad guy, now you and this character all of a sudden have a really close bond, at least insofar as you share a mutual hatred and desire to, bring this creature to justice. Something that you might not have been able to do if you told your GM, this is who it is, this is what they did, this is how I want it to shake down, all these things that your character might not necessarily know, but you have decided in your backstory. Next, in-game, your character should be asking the rest of the party about themselves, their backstories. Ask where they got that cool weapon or where they, got trained in this weird fighting style that they have. Ask how they got that scar. Ask, why they always carry around a crumpled letter, with an old seal on it. Whatever sort of things that they might introduce to themselves or the GM may point out about them, ask, tug on those threads, see what's going on. They may not always be ready to share, and that's okay, but just showing that you're interested with your character, not just the person, but the character as well, is going to get them thinking about your character and what they might say next time your character asks, or, might think, well, they're asking about this thing, and I wonder about that. I guess now's a good time to ask them about their weird thing that I'm curious about. And don't be afraid to take the initiative there. Anytime your GM is telling you that there's downtime, ask a question. If you're traveling, say, hey, GM, while we're traveling, can I ask, this person this question, whatever. And again, that's true in real life. Whether they are bank tellers or dragon slayers, people like to talk about themselves, and that gets them to open up and gets them to engage, and they tend to naturally, after that, reach back out and want to reciprocate that engagement. And it is sort of a selfish thing subconsciously, because you have value to them now because you are showing that they have value, and everyone, it's just a sort of, little lizard part of our brain cycle of value for value for value for value. Finally, be a cheerleader. Sorry, we have a cat. Be a cheerleader. Even the most gruff, hardened veteran is still going to acknowledge when someone in their group is doing a good job, is helping them succeed at their goals, and is pulling their weight and being part of a team. And that can be not necessarily just in pure combat. That can be out of combat. That can even be, just being a friendly shoulder for somebody else, another character who's going through something. And you can literally, just say, my character gives you an appreciative nod or a look, just something with their eyes. You don't even have to have this character start gushing or, whatever. I'm not saying act out of character, but rather than saying, oh, my character wouldn't do this, say, how would my character do this? Instead of saying, oh, they wouldn't do it, say, this is how they would do it. It might be more subtle. It might be less direct, less obvious, less, sort of stereotypical ways that somebody might tell somebody a good job, but you can still tell them a good job. And that's important because, again, hopefully at your table, everyone is supportive of each other and excited about each other's, when the dice are rolling and everything's going well. But if not, you can sort of lead that charge and you can say, hey, good job on this. And out of character, that's good. In character, it's even better because, again, whenever you're using your in-character voice and saying in-character things, you're encouraging other people to do the same. You're making them feel less awkward about it. And you're just sort of leading this role play by example. And that's very important. Even at tables with experienced players, someone still has to sort of step out and take that first step. And oftentimes, an in-combat, in-character, good job is a great starting point if you are too nervous to do anything else. The great thing about these 3 little changes are that they're not just going to affect you and your character, they're going to affect the whole table. They're going to make everybody feel a little more comfortable role-playing. They're going to make everybody feel a little more connected to each other. Simply by your character asking questions and telling people a good job in character, it's really going to open things up and it's going to make the whole table experience better for everybody. And when everybody is more invested in each other's characters, that means the GM has more to work with in terms of narrative, more threads they can pull. If no one cares what happened to, so-and-so's parents, then it's probably not necessarily going to get a big, long arc. But if everybody's invested, if everybody's having a good time because they're invested, even though it's got nothing to do with their character, and it's, hammering home on one person's character, that's great. The GM can run with that and can tell a more, narrative, more emotional, potentially, story for the team, while still just everybody sitting around playing dice. So it's just a win-win. And not only are you going to be gelling in roleplay, it's also going to speed up how quickly you start working as a team and figuring out the good strategies. Because again, if everybody knows, where everybody's at and what's working, if you're telling people when hey, that's great, do more of that. That helps me out because then they're going to know the value of that. Because a lot of times, especially early on with a character, if people aren't seeing immediate value in something that they do, they may not keep doing it. And oftentimes, especially in a support-heavy game like Pathfinder 2nd Edition, where teamwork is so important, if somebody isn't seeing an obvious payoff for themselves early on, they may stop using an ability. And maybe it helped you out a lot, or potentially could have helped you out a lot. And, by not saying anything, they don't realize how much it was helping you, so they never do it again, and now they're never helping you. So it's really good to do that. And again, maybe you're already doing that out of game, but if you are, try doing it in game and in character. Make sure that bard knows that even though you maybe still missed, them spending that action to give you that +1 was really helpful to you. And and that's going to give them, even if they didn't necessarily accomplish anything big on their turn, they're still going to feel good about it. Everybody's going to feel better about what they're doing. Everybody's going to have higher energy and bring more energy and investment to it. And again, just going to keep cycling, snowballing, and improving the game. Those are my 3 tips. Follow them, and maybe, just maybe, your character will be less of an island, less of an edgelord for themselves type character, and maybe they and the whole party at large will start to really feel more like a team a lot faster than they otherwise would. Hopefully these are helpful for you. Down in the comments, if you have any other tips for increasing that party interaction and making a character more likable without necessarily having to change completely who they are, from an overall, elevator pitch type of thing, let us know down in the comments. Come hang out in our Discord server as well. We'd love to have you over there. We talk about this sort of thing all the time. And then, if you haven't already, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps us out so much. And the more you like, the more you subscribe, the more you share, the more people see it, the more we know what type of content you like to see and that you want to see, and we know what to make more of. So thanks so much for watching. Welcome to the Collective. I'm Wyatt, and we'll see you next time. Bye.